Hey Flosstube, it's Angie, and today I thought I would do kind of a finish parade. Right now I'm sitting here in my room getting ready to do this, but when you're seeing this I should be traveling, and so that's why, well, that's not why anything, it's just you're seeing this then. Hopefully I can figure out the whole scheduling thing. We'll find out if this shows up in my video feed tomorrow or not. But I thought that for some continuity on how often my videos are posting, it would be a good idea to film a couple extras and schedule them so that I think I've said this before, so I don't feel like I need to film. I probably will, because I probably will, but I won't be able to post because I won't have my computer and I don't have anything fancy that will allow me to get a video posted up online for a little while. So anyway, I thought I would go through and just kind of show off a few of my finishes. I started cross-stitching shortly after my oldest child was born. I remember before I even had kids going over to a friend's house and seeing a really pretty picture up on her wall, and she told me that she had cross-stitched it, and I thought, oh, that sounds fun, and I kind of filed it away as an option for a crafty idea because I love crafts. But I didn't actually get around to doing it until my first was born. We had just moved to Alaska for the first time, and we were way up North Fairbanks area of Alaska, so cold, and we had moved to Alaska in October, and shortly after we got there is when heavy snows, cold temperatures, everything, and I was pregnant with my second child, and I needed something to do, and so we went into Fairbanks and we found the only craft store that they had. It was a Joann's, and I was so grateful they even had that. And I found a cross-stitching book, and I picked up the book and a couple patterns, and I didn't take a class or anything. I just sort of taught myself by reading the book, this is what you do to cross stitch. I did not pay close attention to a lot of things, like I never heard that the back of a cross stitch was supposed to be nice and neat, so I never bothered to care about what the back of my cross stitch looked. It's only been recently that I've heard that there's two camps, the super neat backs and the super not neat backs, and the who cares. I'd say the backs of mine, it just depends on the pattern. Anyway, so I also didn't, the book itself did not say, hey, if you're gonna start in the lower left corner, start every stitch in the lower left so that your stitches are running the same direction. So in a lot of my earlier pieces, those stitchers are not in the same direction. And so I've got chevrons going on in my patterns, and you know what? It doesn't make them look worse. I don't do that now because I like the uniformity that doing everything the same gets you. But just in case anybody notices that book didn't say that, so I didn't do it. Anyway, so the first thing that I stitched was for my son, and it was just a little birth sampler that I found, and it wasn't silly with teddy bears and everything. I just thought it was cute, and it was simple, and I thought it was something that he would probably not be embarrassed to have out or for a good amount of his life. I don't know, maybe he would be embarrassed now, but this is the first one that I did, and then I shortly thereafter made another one for my daughter in pink, and then I have not, believe it or not, bad mom moment here, I have not made one for my other two kids, so I should do that. That should be on my list of upcoming projects. 2 more of these so that all of my kids can feel special and have their birth on their walls. So yeah, that was the first thing I cross-stitched, and it took like a week or so. I think it probably took me longer just because, just trying to get the tension right and make sure that the stitches looked decent. But yeah, super simple. And I have not seen this pattern out for sale anywhere, but I will, it was a Jan Lin, I believe, a Jan Lin pattern. So I don't know if it's available or not still. I will see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll link to it. The next one, I actually picked it up at the same time, and it's extremely special to me because I'm not the one who picked it out. My husband picked it out. We were, again, shopping, and my husband, I'm going to tell you right now, is super supportive of all of my crafting and hobbies, because everywhere we go, I find something else to do. In cake decorating, oh, I did cake decorating, took all the classes, bought all the supplies. I even made a wedding cake at one point. Woodworking, that is something that I continue to do. I just haven't done it recently because we've been getting ready for the move, and I didn't want to make a mess. I wanted to clean it all up and have it ready to go. I did a lot of washi box making when I was living in Japan, which is a craft. You use washi paper and milk, not bottles, but the paper cartons, milk cartons, and you cut them all up, and they make the most amazing boxes. So cute. I did a little bit of, not real quilting. I have the squares. I'll have to show them to you guys sometime. It's not real quilt. I mean, I guess it is. I don't know. I still have all the squares. We made memory quilts. So there's been that. Hair bow making. I did that. Scrapbooking. That was a huge one, and I still scrapbook, but I have since transitioned to digital scrapbooking, which can be a lot better on storage, but maybe not quite so much on price, depending on how many fancy digital kits I buy or the program I use to make them. Nah, it's not that bad. But I do a lot of the digital scrapbooking. I do a little bit of typography, nothing fancy. And then I do a lot of freehand sign making with my router, where I carve freehand out of wood. I do a lot of that. Toll painting. I think those are the main ones. He might come back and say, oh, no, hon, what about this one and this one? You did this and this and this too. Anyway, I say all of this because my husband is awesome. And as he was helping me to develop this particular hobby, he picked out a pattern, and he found it, and he told me that it reminded him of us, and he thought I would enjoy stitching it, and I did. And so this is called The Gift, and I will link to it below. I do know this pattern is still available because I saw it the other day. He says this reminds him of us, and I think it's super cute. And this took me a few months. I cross-stitched this while he was in tech school, and I was awaiting the birth of our second child, and I finished it before she was born, and I just think it's super cute. It's normally hanging up there, but I have to take all of this stuff off our walls, so I'm slowly removing our items of decor. So this is perfect because I've taken all of these things off the walls. So the rest of these finishes are probably not going to be in order of when I did them, because that would require thinking, and I really don't feel like doing that. So I'll just show you a couple. This last Christmas, I decided that I needed to make each of my children a gift of a cross stitch. And unfortunately, I only have 2 of them right here with me because the other 2 are packed away somewhere, and I have not been able to find them. But when I do, I have some pictures of them, but they're really crappy pictures. So my daughter, she loves pigs, and I found a pattern on Etsy called Geometric Pigs, and I think it has like 16 different pigs with different colors and designs in each of the shapes of the pig. And instead of doing all 16, I just did 4, and I did the colors that I know she likes. And then she was struggling with some bullying, and some kids were making fun of her because she likes pigs. And so she's decided to fully embrace her love of pigs, and so I thought that would be the perfect cross stitch, and I wrote on the bottom, oink means I love you in piggy language, and she loves it, but it's packed away. And then my youngest son is a fan of Iron Man, and I'm not kidding. When I say a fan of Iron Man, I think he wishes he was Iron Man. He cries every time we watch Endgame. He used to, when we lived in Germany, there's a scene in, I think it's in Iron Man 3, where he's testing out this new suit, and he has this, and how all of the pieces come flying at him and get on him, and he had it memorized, and he would sit there and he would, I think he was 3 or 4, and he would act out how Iron Man got all of his armor on. Super cute. So I found a pattern that was Iron Man's face, and it says I love you 3000 on the bottom. So that's what he got. My oldest, he loves Pokemon. He loves all sorts of things, but Pokemon is one of the biggest ones. So I found this one on Etsy, and I made him this one, which he thought was pretty cool. Although I think now he would have probably preferred if I'd found an anime of any of the anime he likes. And that was said son knocking on the door. Anyway, my oldest daughter has recently developed a love for the TV show Supernatural. So I went searching for some kind of a pattern that was not filled with tons of curse words for her wall, and I succeeded. And I made her this fun little sampler of sorts for Supernatural, which hangs in her room. Not anymore, because we're leaving her room, but this hangs up in her room, and she has shown it off to a few of her friends, which I think is super sweet. So those were the gifts that I gave the kids, and I couldn't leave my husband out, and so I made him one. And if you will recall, he does have a love of Star Trek, and he has a wall of ships, which I cannot wait to show you that one of these days. But I made him this because it made me laugh out loud when I saw it. And any Trekkie out there will totally understand why. I just love this. So this sits up on his shelf in amongst his ships. So that is another one that I finished, and most of those were pretty small and easy to finish. And this one I bought 2 Christmas patterns thinking that I needed something fun for Christmas, and this again was still before I had discovered all of the other stuff. So the patterns that I knew were the dimensions kits or whatever you found at Michael's or Joann's. So nothing, you know, there's no Plum Street, no Brenda Gervais, none of those beautiful little sampler type rustic patterns. So I had a hard time finding one that didn't look ridiculous, but I did. I found this one, and I bought it in 2011, and I finished it last year because I would only stitch on it here and there. And it's a full coverage. It's small, but it's full coverage with a lot of back stitching. But this one is called Santa's Secret. I love this. I'm not even gonna lie, especially in the white frame. And I think this frame I just bought at Walmart. But I love this pattern. Just love it. Once it was finished and put in the frame, I can't imagine not having this in my house. And I can't wait till I finish the other one. The other one, you've seen it before. It's a Snowman's Kiss, or a Kiss for Snowman. And I just started it last year when I finished this one. So this one is done last year. So that was technically my oldest whip, and I finished it. Okay, let's see. This one is not fully finished, it's just finished. This one I started in January and finished in April of this year. This is my Wacky Witches and Stitches. I saw this, the first time I saw this pattern, it was when I was watching one of Michelle Garrett's Bendy Stitchy, one of her Flosstubes, and I saw it on her wall, and I thought, oh, that's super cute. And I mean, it's not hard to tell this is Halloween pattern. And Halloween is my favorite holiday. Halloween. Halloween's my favorite. So anything Halloween related, I'm gonna go for it. So I saw it on her wall, and eventually she had mentioned she gets asked a lot about that pattern because it's really, I mean, it's right there. And so she said it was from Clouds Factory, so I went and looked it up, and unfortunately that opened up the rabbit hole that is Clouds Factory, which is why most of my patterns are from there. But this was it. I picked up just some regular, I think this is Belfast linen. I picked this up, I'm pretty sure I just bought this at Hobby Lobby, and I dyed it myself. I decided to play around with the idea of dyeing it, and it looks mainly purple, but there is some green in here. You just can't, it doesn't show up very much. When I purchased the dye, there weren't a lot of variety of colors, and the green, I think, was a Kelly green, not a green or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe it was just a green and not a Kelly. I wanted it to be kind of an acid looking green, and I wanted it to be darker, so it was kind of a green and purplish in here. I mean, all of this lighter stuff, that's all green. So in person you can see it, but not on camera, and it's okay. It's fine that it doesn't have this overpowering green. I think it looks great. The fabric looks nice. It was my first time dyeing fabric. I was really pleased. There were a couple spots in the fabric where, you know, there was like a splotch of yellow right there, or where I, you know, maybe dripped something because I was inexperienced. But I definitely look forward to dyeing fabric some more. I have some ideas for the future of some of the fabric scraps that I have. I will frame this before Halloween. I'm just waiting because what's the point right now? So there's that. And then I picked this pattern up. I don't even remember where. I think I got it at a thrift store, and just on a whim decided to stitch it. And this was really fast. It's another Jan Lin. It's stitched up really, really fast. And I don't know, I just really liked it. I thought it was a good representation, and it didn't look, I don't know, it looked peaceful. So I went ahead and stitched this, and it's called Portrait of Christ. I believe, like I said, I think this is also Jan Lin or Praying Hands. It's one of those. I'll link it below. I do know it's called Portrait of Christ. All right, so those are, and I mean, these don't include, this finished parade does not include the Let's Bake that I showed off in one of the previous videos. It doesn't include my Families Are Forever I showed off a little bit ago, or the Wedding Birds. I've inserted those, I've shown them. They're in previous videos to this one. If you want to see them, they're there. I have two more, and these two, as of right now, are just, they're my beauties, they're my favorites, and I love these, and I will never not love them. And they took me a combined total of 7 years to stitch. When I started the stitching journey, I didn't have any specific plans. I just thought I'd stitch here and there. But I really love it. It's calming. It's definitely a wonderful thing. I'm making art for our home, other people's homes. When we moved to Japan, I wanted something in my home that wasn't furniture related, that represented Japan. And we have pictures and everything, but I wanted something, I don't know. So I was shopping for cross stitch online, and this popped up, and it's a dimensions kit, and it popped up, and I fell in love, and I ordered it. And this took me, I want to say, 3 years to stitch. And it's not because it's so big, it's not a Haid or anything like that, but it's because it was the only project I was stitching. So when I got bored, I stopped. So I would stop for months at a time. But this is called Elegance of the Orient. Sorry about the glare. And this is so pretty. I just love it. I love how she's looking off behind her. I love how she's holding her kimono. I love the cherry blossoms. I love the bird. I love her skirts. I even love the krennic that's in it, which was my first ever experience with krennic, and it was a beast to put in. And the thing that I hated the most about this, I mean, I loved the whole thing. The only thing I didn't like is that when I went and washed it, the colors bled. Because I wasn't thinking, because it's a dimensions kit and there's no guarantee, and I didn't wash the colors beforehand. But I was able to get most of the bleeding out, so you can't tell. But I love this so much. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, has already claimed it as hers if I ever die. So that is Elegance of the Orient. And after I had stitched her, I missed stitching on something, and I felt like she needed a partner. So I went back to Dimensions and looked and looked and looked and looked, and I found this baby, and it just so happens to be the same size. So this is Samurai, although I can't remember if the name of the pattern is actually Samurai, so I'm going to look it up and I'll link it below. And I love the colors in this one. I love his robe, the deep reds and purples, and all the dragonflies, which happens to be my favorite bug of all time, is a dragonfly. I love the sun and the trees. The peacock is gorgeous. My favorite color is blue, and that peacock's blue is the favorite blue of mine. So much about this. You know, he's holding a fan. It's so perfect. So, and I call him the geisha and samurai, but I know she's not a geisha. She's just in a kimono, but. So those total took 7 years to stitch because I just worked on each of these. And again, these are not full coverage. They're not Hades. I could have probably stitched them in a much faster time frame, but so much work went into these, and I love these. These are always hung up in a place of prominence in my home because I want everybody to see them. They are gorgeous. And there are so many imperfections in these. I mean, so many imperfections. I don't care. I don't care. They're beautiful. So those are pretty much, that's all. I don't have a huge amount of finishes because I didn't start working on multiple things until now. And if you think about it, I started working on multiples this year and I've already finished Let's Bake, Wedding Birds, Families Are Forever, Wacky Witches and Stitches. Yep, I've finished 4 things this year, and it's just barely June, so it's not bad. I think that's not bad. But anyway, that's it as far as projects that I have finished and my finish parade. The next video that I'm going to have posted is going to be just it probably won't be quick because I have a lot of patterns, but most of them I haven't started. I've been slowly collecting patterns as I see them because I'm afraid that I'll lose out on them because I keep hearing about how patterns get discontinued and then you can never get them or you can never find them, and I don't want to have to be searching eBay for the patterns I like. So when I see one, as long as it's not horrendously expensive, I go ahead and just pick it up randomly. So my next video is just going to kind of go through all of the patterns that I have. I have threads for a lot of them, but I haven't kitted any up. I will probably, I don't know, I'm going to kit up a couple that I'm going to take with me on the move so that I can just work on those, but the rest are just going to go, and then I'll worry about them after we're all unpacked and settled. So I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that is it, and I will see you later. Bye.